Very excited to have you all today. So my name is Sayam Pathak, and I am a CNCF ambassador working as Director of Technical Evangelism at CIVO, building the next gen cloud platform and powered by the community. So very excited to bring you the WSL days, and we had an amazing session yesterday by Nuno. So I'm really excited for today's session as well. I can see like Nuno is already there in the chat. We have Carlos as well. So thank you both for tuning in, and all the other folks. Please say hi in the chat and from where you are joining in, so that we can put you up on the screen. And if you are new to the stream, so please care to subscribe to the channel, because that's what keeps me going and do more and more sessions like this with awesome people that you see on the screen. So with this, yesterday we discussed about WSL, WSL2 introduction, why it is there, what are its benefits, how you can, and there were 4 demos done by Nuno, how you can install WSL, what is the interoperability of the file system, the networking, then the applications, some of the Linux, some of the distributions that you can choose and install on your Windows, and whatnot. So we did a lot yesterday, but trust me, today will be a lot more. So Patrick from Hong Kong is there with me today. I know it's very late, so first of all, thank you, Patrick, for joining in late night. And I'll just pull up all the folks who have just joined. So hello to you. So it's so awesome to see people tuning in. Yeah, so I was saying, like, Patrick, I was just talking to Patrick, before the stream, and he has been involved in the WSL community from very early days, from his student days actually, and writing the scripts, automating some of the stuff, and then ending up in writing WSL utilities, which obviously he'll be showcasing today. So he has been through the complete journey. He has been through, like, from the automation to the contribution. So I'm glad that we are having the right person talking about the right thing. So that's what is more important. So make sure you ask any of the questions that you have in the chat, so that Patrick can answer them live. And with that, the one last thing is there, like, actually 2 more things. So one is, like, please be nice to each other in the chat and do not post anything offensive, and please keep the stream clean and neat and interesting and interactive. Another thing is, today also there is a giveaway, one CNCF store coupon. Again, the funda is very simple and clear. So you just need to live tweet all the things that you are learning, and Saloni will be moderating the chat as well as the Twitter threads that you'll be creating. Yesterday, Suman and Braja created amazing Twitter threads. Even Patrick just read it, and Nuno read that, and they were very happy. Like, people are learning and sharing what they are learning. That was so amazing. So hope you do that today as well. We have one voucher giveaway, and with that, we'll start today's stream with Patrick. So Patrick, thank you so much for tuning in. I would like you to introduce yourself to the community.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to join the live stream. So today I will talk about the advanced WSL2. And I'm Patrick Wu, and I'm currently working in Canonical building WSL2, building the Ubuntu for WSL, and I'm also the developer for the WSL utilities, which is a collection of the tools that makes working with WSL simpler. It allows you to create shortcuts for your WSL tools, or or checking with or getting the Windows or getting the Windows information directly in the WSL. So yeah, let's just dive in first. So like I just said, I built the WSL utilities, and so this is one of the tools called the WSL Fetch, and this is built-in. This is a version that currently in development, and that is a lot more feature-rich compared to the current version that is in the available. So you can see, you can actually see some Windows-specific informations like your release install date, your current display scaling of the current monitor, your Windows local, your Windows theme, and your Windows uptime. And you can see it's different. The it's different. So a lot of the technologies involved. We will talk about a lot of technology that is involved in this tool today. So so I will start to talking about three technologies that used in the WSL utilities. The first one is WSL interoperability. Second one is the WSL configurations. And the third one is WSL related registries. So let's dive into the first one. So let's talk about the WSL interoperability. So so for the WSL interoperability, we'll talk about the interoperability on the WSL side first. That is to execute the Windows command and calling the Windows side executables in the WSL side. So mainly there are three kinds of executing commands. So first one is the individual executables that is running like reg.exe, notepad.exe. And the second way is executing comment via the cmd.exe. The third way is PowerShell.exe. And this is the Windows PowerShell, not the PowerShell core, because PowerShell core is not built in, and it do not work well with WSL sometimes. And not all people install the PowerShell core. And for the first one, it's very straightforward. You execute the command directly. So like here, I just so like this reg.exe slash the help of the reg.exe, or I can execute the notepad.exe. But there is one specific exceptions that is explorer.exe. And this is also a known issue. So if you launch the explorer.exe, when you execute, you can successfully execute the command, but it will always have, you can see here, it is red. And let me post you the, oops. The exit code is one. It will whether whatever you execute the Explorer, whether it's successful or not, it will always return a non-zero exit code. And this is currently a known issue on the Microsoft side, and it's currently not resolved. And a lot of people have asked me about why I'm not using the Explorer.exe in WSL view, and this is the reason. It always returns one, and I don't know whether it's successful. It successfully execute or not. So, like, also some people suggest me to use Explorer.exe with the cmd.exe. So cmd.exe is also pretty straightforward, and you can execute comment just like on CMD. But like there is one problem for the CMD, that is you can see here when I try to execute Notepad, for example, it will have a complaint. It will complain the UNC paths are not supported. And more specifically, if you launch the application from the directly from WSL path, you will also have this problem, and you will not have you will just not get into the WSL path directly. Like the only one that work with WSL path, that is PowerShell.exe. So for example, I can this is so so here if we dir using the CMD, it will not list this path because this path is the UNC path. It will not list the WSL home all the folders and files under your WSL folder, but it only lists the folder under your Windows side. And PowerShell can do that. So for example, here I can type ls. So yeah, it actually lists the correct directory in the WSL. So you can see it's under the WSL.localhost develop home Patrick, and it lists all my files here. And however, there is some problems with PowerShell. That is, it's very slow on old machine. So if you and it will be even slower with a small memory. So basically, if you execute the same command, like if you're calling the registry from the reg.exe and compared to calling the registry directly from the the PowerShell in a slow machine will cost like several seconds longer compared to the reg.exe. And for the PowerShell.exe, it also have a lot of problems. It does not play nice with encoding. It does not work well with old com host, that is the old command prompt. So yeah, it's the old command prompt is already no longer default in the Windows 11, but like if you use in the older version, like Windows 10, you will still have such problem. And it just like the PowerShell is just really a headache part of the WSL. So if you're executing with a script, you will also have raster form problem in the old com host. And yeah, it's just it's powerful, but like you have there is a cost. And for the related problem, the solution to the related problems, I will post a link to later in the stream. So let's move on to the next part, the executing the WSL command on Windows side. So when you're executing the WSL command on the Windows side, there are three options. One is the bash.exe. The second one is WSL.exe. The third one is the specific distribution executables. Like for example, here Ubuntu.exe is corresponding to the Ubuntu on the store, or you can just Ubuntu like 1804.exe, and it will open the Ubuntu 1804. So here we will be using the Ubuntu.exe. So let's talk about the bash.exe first. The bash.exe is actually not recommended right now. It's only left for the legacy reasons. So basically, this one will only open the command, will only start a bash login shell of your default WSL Linux distribution. So basically, whatever, like if you set as a Z shell, using the bash.exe will only launch the bash shell of your distribution. And this is only remain for the legacy purpose, as the original name of the WSL is called the bash on Ubuntu or Windows. So originally it's just the bash. And the second option and also the most powerful option is the WSL.exe. So for this option, you can launch from the different distributions with the D option. And you can also launch with a different user with the U option, you can launch it with the root. Oops. I disable the root here, so yeah. And the most important one here is /e option. Because without E, you can also execute the commands like this. But with E, you can also execute the commands. Oops. Oops. I cannot see the command myself.
Yeah, it's mixing with the color.
Yeah, sorry for that. So they have this. There seems to be have the same result. The major difference between the with the E option /E option and without the /E option is that without the /E option, it will execute the commands with the default login shell of your WSL distribution. But with the /E, it will execute the commands on your WSL distribution without any shell. So I will give a very quick demonstration here. So if I, without using the E, and when I try to print the environment and print the shell, you can see it's the shell is using the bin bash. And if I use /E, it actually executes using the command directly. It's just print if environment command. It's not using any shell. So if you want to execute a command without any shell, please remember to pass the /E command. Okay, gotcha. I will disable the archaic option.
Yep, all the commands I am pasting whatever Carlos is pasting in the chat. So basically all the commands that have been executed are wsl.exe -u root, then you have wsl.exe-e and then you have wsl.exe-e print env shell, and one was without that. So I think Nuno has the comment you can disable the. Okay, cool.
Okay, I have disabled.
Awesome.
So everyone should see it easily right now.
Yep.
So here is the comment. So yeah. So for the last one, the distribution specific executables. Actually, every distribution can actually customize their own executable. So you should pay attention. But generally, there are some interesting behavior for the executables. So firstly, if you just type the ubuntu.exe, it will launch the user's default shell in the user's home directory. And if we launch with the run option, like here, you will actually launch the user's default shell in the current working directory. And and you can actually also pass the comment to the run, and it will run the comment using the default shell with the current working directory. So like each one, the behavior is a little different. So when you try to do that, you'll like, for example, hooking up with a shell, you should possibly keep in mind with this. Yeah, then let's move very quickly to the next one. So the next one, we'll talk about the WSL configurations. And there are two sets of the configuration. The first set is a distribution-specific configuration that is under the etc that called the WSL.conf. And the other one is located in your home directory in Windows. It's called the .wslconfig. And this is a global definition of the config. And keep in mind that it used to be able to, in the older version of the Windows, you can actually use all the options from the WSL.conf in the .wslconfig, and currently you just can't. Everything will be overwritten, and so just keep in mind on that. In the older version, you should still be able to use sections like auto mount, network, interop in the .wslconfig, but like in the new one, you can only use the WSL2 section in the global config. And let's talk about the distribution-specific config first. So let's move to the first section. So the first section is the auto mount. The auto mount section will allow you to mount the Windows or the FS tab Windows drives or the definition that is under the FS tab. So the first option is enabled. This allows you to control whether you want to auto mount your Windows drive or not. And the second option, mount FS tab, will allow you to control whether to mount the FS tab file. So FS tab file is the file that is under the etc called the FS tab. So this file, you can define additional definitions of the mounting of the drives, like the something that possibly from the cloud or from another machine, and mostly other from the cloud. And if you have the definition and have the mount FF tab enabled, Windows will automatically mount them for you. And if they failed, you will actually receive a DMESG message when you launch the distribution calling you there's something wrong when mounting the FS tab, and you have to view the kernel information to see what went wrong. And for the root option, you can actually change the default directory where the default drives to appear. So by default, it will all mount under the /mmt/. And you can also change to another directory where you want it. And the fourth option is options. And this one is the definition of what the DRVFS mount options that you want to set when you mount your Windows drive. So the DRVFS is a very specific file system format that is used in WSL that have a very limited collection of the uh, options, and you can use options like the things here, the UID, GID, UMask, FMask, and also there's also DMask, and also the metadata and the case. So for the UID and GID, they are basically the user ID used for the owners of the file. So basically, it's which one you want to access the file, which user you want to access the file for the directory. And for the GID, it works the same, but like except it's for the group. And for the UMask, FMask, and DMask, it works really similar to other file systems. It's a mask of the octomask of permissions to exclude the for all files or directories. And for the metadata, this one is used for whether the metadata will be added to the Windows file to support the Linux system permissions. So if you add the metadata option, you will the Windows files that mounted in the Windows drive will have the support for Linux system permissions, and it's actually suggests to like add the permission personally because like by default it's disabled, and you will only have the Windows permission. And also the last one is case. It's a feature called the per directory case sensitivity, and if I dive into it, it will be a really long string. So I will also post that link in the stream later. So let's move to the next section is the network. The network have two options. One is generate host, and the other is the generate result conf. The first one will generate the /etc/hosts file by slows if enabled, and it will automatically generate it corresponding to your Windows machine. And the same with generate result conf, it will automatically generate the result.conf according to your Windows settings if enabled. But like always see people like will have problems with their network, like they will have problems with the result conf, and they cannot access internet in their Ubuntu distributions. And sometimes we don't have any solution for that because it's very like user specific. We cannot reproduce anywhere, and we would just suggest them to disable the generate result conf and manually define one. So like let's move on to the next section is the interop. The interop have two options. The one is enabled. The other one is append Windows pass. The first one, if set to the false, it will disable the interoperability completely. So like everything that I'm previously showing here, like executing the Windows commands and things like that, won't be able to do if you set the enable to false. And for append Windows pass, for by default, it will append the Windows pass to the to your pass environment. So like, oops. So like if you go into your pass environment, you can see a lot of things from the Windows side, like MTC. This is from the Windows apps, And you can see I have the .NET tools, things like that. And disable that will remove all the Windows side paths from your path environment. And there is one I haven't included in this file. It's called the user section. And there is only one option under it. It's called default. It's used to set the default user. And this is to use it to set it easily. So let me just possibly just type it. So for a better view. So it's called user, and the option is called default. And this where you fill the username of your choice. Like if you have like multiple users set up for WSL distribution, and you do not want to use the first user that created as the default user, you can set the default user here, and it will automatically apply for you. And for the last option, this is currently in the preview only. It's the boot option. The boot section, it have a comment. It has an option called comment. So basically, this is also the WSL2 specific option that will launch this comment on your initial boot. So like here, I use this comment to launch this fake systemd. Launch systemd on my own distribution so that I can work on some work that requires systemd. So I have set this one. So that's all for the WSL.conf. And let's move to the WSL config. And this file is located under your home directory in Windows. And currently, you can only set the WSL2. And there are multiple options you can set. For example, you can set your custom kernels. And like you can specific where the kernel located and pass it through. And you can set memory you wanted. And so by default, it's using, so in the stable version, you actually use 80% of your total memory of your current Windows. But like in the preview builds, you actually use 50% of your total memory on Windows, or 8 gig, whichever is less. So basically, if you have a lot of memory, you have maximum of like 8 gig for by default for the WSL distribution. So the processors is once that you allows distribution to use with the processors allow sorry.
No problem. And there's another important, a useful, I would say, comment by Carlos as well. Like the user is also useful when you import the distributions, because by default it will be imported with the root user as default. So
Yeah.
that's where also user would be helpful.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, and yeah, for the processors, it's just it will limit the usage of the processors for your WSL2 WS2 distributions, because like by default, it will use all your processors for the your WSL distribution. Like because like WSL2 is actually a very lightweight virtual machine, and so by limiting the processors, you can actually sometimes you don't want you have other running process process that you don't want the WSL to interrupt with your other other process, this is a good way to limit the power of the WSL2. And there are other several options that I don't have here. For example, and no, I haven't talked about everything here, I think. So this one, localhost forwarding. So localhost forwarding will allow to forward the localhost of your WSL to the Windows localhost. So basically, in the WSL2, it has a separate IP address compared to the WSL1, which shares the same IP address with the Windows machine. So for the WSL2, it will be really hard to access a localhost by default. But like currently the localhost forwarding is enabled by default, so like you don't have to do anything to so that the WSL2 and will automatically forward the localhost for you. So like if you start have a young project or npm project that web project that you want to run in the localhost on the Windows side, and you can just type in the comment and it will launch on the Windows side. You can use the localhost on Windows side automatically. But like if you want to isolate the distribution and don't want to like let them use the localhost forwarding, you should disable it here. And I'm actually not sure about this option, whether it's still usable. The nested virtualization is it used to be a hidden option that lets you to enable the virtualization. So like you can enable the something like doing. You can actually launch the VMs inside of WSL. So like you can see here, you can actually launch the KVM. So some people can possibly launch the Android emulator directly from the WS2, and you can even like running Mac on WSL2 on Windows, which is really cursed. And yeah, there are also several options I didn't have here. The three option is called the kernel command line, and this one is a command line that will be executed when launching the kernel, the swap, and the swap option will define the memory size of the swap file. And there is also a spare file option that defines where the swap file is. So by default, it's this file here called it's always this file. And you can actually customize it. So let's see. Oops, not here. This is. So you can see here I have a swap file of 8 gigabytes. That is 25% of my current memory. Oops. And the last two options, GUI application and the debug console, is also the preview only options. The GUI application is WSLG basically, and the default is true, but like you can disable it and using the older version. Like you can set up the older like the X servers like X410 or we say X server or Xmin, things like that. And for the debug console, This one, when enabled, it will allow you to, when you execute a GUI application, you will given a debug console when launching a GUI application. So like by default, this is disabled actually, but like here I just enable it. So that's basically all for the WSL configurations. So let's move on to the third topic, the WSL related registry. This is actually a little bit, how do I put it? It's a little bit dangerous because usually you should not touch this by default, but like you can get a lot of useful information from here. And so basically, nearly all the information of the WSL is located here. It's called the HKCU, software, Microsoft, Windows, current version, and LXSS, SS. And under it, it has a lot of subkeys. These are the GUIDs, GUIDs of the WSL distributions. And each one representing the one WSL instance that you have in your computer. So here let's dive into the top XSS first. So they have three main items here: the default distribution, the default UID, and default version. The default distribution is a GUID that corresponding to one of the distributions here. And the default UID corresponding to the UID that you set for your default user, which is 10,000 by default for most distributions. The default version is the default version that you have set for your WSL. So you can set the WSL default distribution using the WSL default version here. So you can set the version here, and you can see here I set it as 2. So by default, if I create a new WSL instance, it will be using the WSL2. And you can set it to 1, but like it's just to just using the command line, not edit it here. So let's dive into the specific distribution subkeys. So there are basically two kinds of subkeys. The one is the important distributions, and the other one is the store distributions. The main difference is that, like here, this one is imported distribution, and this one is the store distribution. The store distribution will have additional package family name. So for example, here, this is our community preview of our Ubuntu. So it have a assigned package friendly name to it. So like it can tell the system like this is according the packages that it associates to, and this is the important one. So it do not have the package family name. So let's explain each one because each of the icons here. So the first one is the base path. This is where is file system, your WSL file system is. Like here, this distribution is the main developed instance, and it's located in the develop. And the second option is the default UID, and this defines is the same as the one in the LXSS. This defines the default user you will be launching in your distribution. So here is 1000, which is basically the first user you will be created in. First user will be created in the most Linux. The third one is very straightforward. It's basically the distribution name. It's a name that you will be see, like for example here, the name of the distribution, because like here it's called the develop. So like the name here is the develop. So so it gets interesting from the last three options, last three items. So the first one is the flags. The flags actually it uh, it actually means which feature is enabled or disabled. So by default, when a distribution is created, it will be defaulted to either 7 or 15. Uh, Depends on your what you are setting. So what your setting is. So basically, uh, it's actually an addition of options. So there are actually four options. So you can combine with 1, 2, 4, or 8. For 1, is whether the WSL interoperability is enabled. So basically, if you do not have 1 here, the interoperability is disabled. The 2 is appending the Windows path. So basically, if there are like you do not have 2 here in the 2 here, you basically do not have the your distribution won't append the Windows path when you launch the distribution. And for the 4, so this will allow to when like 4 is added, and it will enable the drive mounting. So basically, this is the auto mount corresponding to the auto mount enabled option. So for the like append NT, so for 2, it corresponding to this option. Let's find the settings here. So 2 is corresponding to append Windows path here. So for 4, it corresponding to the auto mount enabled here. And for the 1, corresponding to the interrupt enabled here. And the last one, 8, is the most important here because the 8 corresponding to the which version of the WSL you are using. Without 8, it is WSL1. With 8, it's WSL2. So basically, 7, if you see 7 is every other flag enabled except it is WSL1. So if it's 15, it's every flag enabled. So it means it's WSL2. And so like you might ask, what's this version for? Like it's also 2. And this is actually means this is actually not the default version. This is also not the WSL version. This is actually the file system version. So this is defines whether it uses old LXFS or the new WSL-FS. So basically, most of the new distribution here, we will be using WSL-FS. It will only use the LXFS in a very, very old version of the WSL currently. So basically, you won't be seeing this change much. So basically, this is always 2 right now. So if you are using a very old version of Windows 10, you will possibly see the version of 1. And it used to have an option that you can upgrade this file system to the new WSL-FS file system. And for the state, it actually is the state of your WSL instance. So basically, the default. So basically, there are actually 4 states, but like I cannot find one of them. So basically, the 1 means the normal state. So basically, is nothing is happening. It's just normally running or stopping or running. And I don't know about the 2, but for the 3 and 4, it corresponding to installing and uninstalling. So basically, you can actually call the registry and check the state to see if your distribution completed installation here. So basically, if the state is 3, it means the distribution is installing. And if it's 4, it means it's uninstalling. So that concludes all the details of the registry, and there are actually several other options. There are used to be several other options, but like they move out to the WSL configuration, so it's no longer here. So let's talk about some interest, some small applications for WSL, especially for like making scripts or checking checking whether it's WSL or like checking whether it's WSL1 or WSL2, because sometimes if you run it in WSL, some action won't be supported, and it also differs from the WSL and WSL2 because like some of the system call do not exist in WSL1, and the performance will be a little bit, the file system performance will be a little worse on the WSL2. So you possibly want to check it. So I see a lot of people would like check for the things like the WSL pass. WSL pass is actually the built-in built-in utility that made by Microsoft that will try to check the WSL pass. And but like there's one problem that they actually can be overwritten by other files, and there are also possibly existing uh, other executables that call WSL pass in other like softwares. So it's not the most ideal way to check whether it is a WSL. And so my choice will be this file for checking the WSL. It's called the this one. The this file is actually is a very WSL specific file. This is a pseudo file in the. This is actually a pseudo file that controls the WSL interoperability. So basically, you can actually control this file to like disable the WSL interoperability temporarily. So basically, like if you so when you disable that, you have to use the sudo. So let's see if we do that. Oops, wait, what? Wait, what? Works perfectly. Oops, I inputted the wrong comment. So basically, after executing this one, if you try to execute anything like Notepad, it will just throw error. You won't be able to execute the Windows executables now, and it will be re-enabled using input one. So like here, you can launch the file again. So checking this file will be the most ideal one for checking whether it is WSL or not. And for the second part, for the second applications is checking whether it's WSL1 or WSL2. So like a lot of people currently I see will like try to check the what is it called, the kernel name. So basically here I have two identical distribution. They are all the Ubuntu 2004 that I create temporarily. The difference is only like this one is version 1 and the other one is version 2. So let's see. So the a lot of people want to check the check that is mainly because of the kernel name is different. So basically, if it's WSL2, the default kernel name is called this. This WSL2 kernel name is called like the 5 point. This is version, and the slash Microsoft slash standard slash WSL2, and for the WSL1, it will be always in the following formats: the version of the kernel, which is supposedly always 4.4.0 right now, and then your Windows build, and then Microsoft. But like there is one problem that people would build their own custom kernels, so that they will have a different name here, and it won't be always like you can actually check the WSL one version because it always in this format, but like it's not always the ideal one. So the ideal method. So the ideal method here is that to check the registry. So basically, if we check the distribution here, so this is Rn and Y. This one is the WSL1. So you can see here in the flags, it's 7. This is the WSL1 distribution. So basically, if they do not have the 8, it's WSL1. If you have the 8, it's WSL2. So let's see the EDH1. Where is the EDH1? Yeah, here. So you can see here, this is 15. So this flag is 15, so it's WSL2 WSL instance. And for this one, it's WSL1 instance. So like you can combine the command here. So I will use rec.exe to call the command and check the distribution to get this to get this value and calculate whether it can be divided by 8. So basically, if like when divided by 8, it's 0, it's WSL1. If it's 1, it's WSL2. So that's the basic idea, and that's actually also how I implement the WSL2 checking in the WSL utilities. So that's all for today. That I will talk about the advanced WSL.
I think that was amazing, Patrick. I mean, you explained tons of things. So those who you are, those of you who have been stayed from the starting of the stream, you might have heard a lot of things from Patrick. We started off with the demo, which was kind of we don't see it usually because when we have action packed agenda, so then you start with the demo, and Patrick was Patrick just came with all the features, all the demos that he had prepared. So that was really amazing. And we discussed like how to run the Windows scripts on Windows commands, scripts from WSL. We learned then how to run the Linux commands using WSL. We also went through the configs, the WSL configs, like the slash, I think it was etc slash WSL conf for the distros, and then the home dot WSL config for the WSL2 configurations, where you can define your debugging, interoperability, and all these flags you can set to true or false, whether you need that, or even the local host, whether you want it true or false, so that you can access the local host in the in your distribution. So I think those were really amazing. Then we moved on to the registry editor. Obviously, just see it, do not edit it. Your registry editor, but it tells you a lot of information, as Patrick mentioned, like. If either your the distribution, like Patrick had, I think, 10 distributions, so it shows like how much he loves the distributions. So it shows you like which ones are the stored distributions, which were from the store, which ones are the imported ones. Like the store one will be having the package, family name, and the other will not have. Then some of the other files like flags, state, version. If the flag is having the value as what was that, 15, then it is WSL2. If it's kind of 7, then WSL1. So it tells you a lot of information. Obviously we should not edit that, but for gaining the information, insights to what all is happening, I think that's a very good place. Then we also went through the WSL path, and then see like how things are working over there. So all in all, I think we did a lot of demos, a lot of cool things, a lot of utilities that you can use with WSL. I think that will be really helpful. And Carlos has been amazing in the chat, answering a lot of questions, and explaining that, and even Nuno was there, and the whole community has been amazing. Just Patrick, I mean, I know it's pretty late, so in the morning time when you wake up, do see out the Twitter threads that people have created. They are just amazing, and really, I'm really happy to see all these Twitter threads. So again, like there is like two people who have been really good in the Twitter threads. One is Andrilla, and one is Suman. Suman is just killing it with the threads. So what we'll do is, again, as yesterday, we have only one voucher to give away. So we'll again do something like whosoever types fast in the chat. Okay, what do we say to type in the chat? Okay, just type in I love WSL2 series. So whoever types this first out of Andrilla and Suman will get the coupon. And in the meanwhile, I'll share my other screen, and we put a tick mark to this. So it's Suman this time who has written first. So Suman, congratulations! But thank you so much for typing and staying with the throughout the stream. Great Twitter threads. I mean, all of you have been doing great Twitter threads, but Suman and Andrilla has taken the game to the next level of Twitter threads. So it's a lot of learning that you will just get from the threads itself. So yeah, with that, we are completed with the second day, second stream, Advanced WSL Concepts by Patrick, who was just amazing, sharing his knowledge to the community. So again, thank you so much, Patrick, for that. And tomorrow will be another day, another interesting day, where Stuart will be walking us through WSL2 and containers. So I know most of my cloud native friends will be definitely happy, because containers word is getting associated with WSL now, and you will be seeing the power of both together. So I think you do not want to miss tomorrow's session either. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, and you can just share it with your friends as well. So WSL has gained a lot of popularity, and with this series, we want to set out a proper message, like how awesome it is, what all it can do, and how you can get benefit, out of WSL, and how you can use your machines, your laptops, Windows machine, to do all the powerful tasks that you have ever imagined, or follow all the blog posts on cloud native technology that you have ever imagined. So make sure you do that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Patrick, for tuning in. Anything you would like to say, the ending statement?
Yeah, there's not much. So we are currently building something very interesting in the Ubuntu for WSL. Stay tuned.
Awesome. So there's something that is getting built, and Patrick is working especially on that. He at Canonical. So I think we can expect some more goodness out of there. So with that, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Patrick, for staying up late and coming to the stream, explaining advanced WSL concept in detail. All the demos, really loved it. And thank you to the community for all the Twitter threads. So make sure you share it, and make sure to do not forget to subscribe to the channel. See you tomorrow, same time. Thank you all. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.